All right, welcome back everybody to AI Data Mastery, where we explore how AI and data are reshaping B2B businesses. Quick thanks to our sponsors, Data Accelerator and Evolve with AI. Couldn't do this without you, so we appreciate you. I'm your host, Jason Renno, and I am super excited about my guest today. Mariah Parsons from Malomo is here with us. She is the head of marketing to discuss some more cool techniques. I mean, it's a rapidly growing business, partially, obviously, largely a lot of thanks to you and your marketing. So I'm kind of curious to learn more about the B2B space and how you were able to break through and kind of think outside the box in a few different ways. But to start us off, can you tell us a little bit about kind of your journey and what led you to Malomo?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for having me here and the very generous introduction. I'm very excited to have our conversation and just be able to riff off each other, talk B2B, marketing, all of that fun stuff.
Perfect.
So, yes, without further ado, I had a fun road to get to Malomo. So, I joined this entrepreneurial focused program, and the way that the program works was and is, it still runs. It's called Or Fellowship. It's based out of Indianapolis, Indiana, if anyone wants to look into it. How it works is it really looks for entrepreneurial minded folks and matches them with tech companies in the Indianapolis space. And so that's where I first got acquainted with Malomo. And so it's a little bit more of a unique, journey to finding a company. It isn't it has a couple of rounds of its own application process, and then you chat with a bunch of companies. And one of Malomo's co-founders was a part of that program when he was
Uh,
younger. And so that's how, he had started his own company, obviously entrepreneurial focus, and then had joined as a company on the partner side of things. So that was my kind of introduction into Malomo. My background was in neuroscience formally, and so I did not expect to be in marketing, but I very much equate it to helping me every day. I always like to joke that understanding human connection will be applicable to any job, and it has not proven me wrong.
yeah, I was gonna
So,
say, I mean, it's right along the same lines, I guess, with marketing, right? You're
yes.
trying to connect and resonate with somebody and leave an impression.
Exactly. Yes. So just a little bit different in maybe the technicalities of marketing that I learned on the fly and on the job. But a lot of similarities in just the application of things and problem solving and all of that fun stuff that us marketers love to do. So that's kind of my lead up to Malomo. I've been part of the team for 4.5 years and I've loved it. It has been such an incredible roller coaster. The startup environment, I know I thrive in personally. And I very much equate that to our fantastic team and the fantastic customers that we get to work with. It is very inspiring to see all of these entrepreneurs take a product and bring it to market and truly capitalize on all of the things that we have right now to make your dream life come true or your dream product come true. And I feel very grateful to get a seat in that, working at Malomo so closely with these founders. So yeah, that's kind of what brought me to Malomo. Happy to go into depth, obviously, more about what we do because as we were talking, Jason, it's a little bit more niche, but it is fascinating. So yeah, I'll pause
Yeah,
there.
if you want to touch base, I mean, because obviously Malomo is a B2C product for e-com brands and people selling things online. You can touch a little more on what it does, but then we can get into more of the B2B marketing, which is your specialty. That Malomo is marketing to other businesses, but their services are actually directly to D2C, directly to the consumer. So yeah, I guess maybe just kind of with the preface, like what problem is Malomo solving in the marketplace right now?
Yeah, you laid it up perfectly where we are selling B2B. So most of the people I'm chatting with and thinking about my day-to-days are other business owners and operators, but the software specifically benefits their consumers. So Malomo sits in the spot of branded order tracking. And so I like to explain it from a consumer point of view because I think that helps give context. And so when someone places an order online, they are sent a email, typically sometimes an SMS or a text notification of thanks for your order, it's confirmed, we will let you know when it's on the way. Typically a day or two later, you get another shipment update that says your order is being processed, your order is out for delivery, your order is being delivered. And so what those notifications typically do is send a consumer like you or I to a FedEx or a USPS website. And so for brands, so I'm not going to name drop anyone, but for brands who sell things online, the most valuable thing for those brands is the customer experience, because that is what keeps someone coming back and shopping with their brand. Obviously, you have to have a great product and all those things. But when a brand sends a customer off to, let's say, FedEx.com, they're losing those interactions, that valuable touch point. And so what Malomo does is it bridges that experience and sends consumers back to a brand's website to further interact with their brand. And those interactions can look like anything from product recommendations to educational content videos about how to use that product when it arrives at your doorstep, or how to care for it, or, how to best articulate, whatever you want, what a brand wants about that
It can be
product.
fully customized to that product and that brand, whatever their
Exactly.
messaging is.
Yes. And so the follow up to that is, what problem does that solve? Where Malomo sits to not only make the customer more informed and feel reassured. I think we've all felt that, like, buyer's remorse of when you buy something, you're like, oh God, what is that? Like, was that a good purchase? When you fill that experience up with really intentional, purposeful touch points like emails and
Personalized touch
SMS.
points, yeah.
Yes, it makes the consumer kind of feel more at ease. They know where their package is physically, but also mentally and emotionally. They're like, "Oh yeah, I bought these, you know, this pair of sneakers to go for this adventure or whatever else." And you can reassure them. So there's kind of that psychological reason, or problem solving. And then there's also the monetary benefits for brands if they choose to put cross sells and upsells or recommended products on those pages. Then customers will see, and there's specific integrations people can use and data, to say, like, okay, this customer is the most likely to buy this, complementary product. So they'll surface those on those tracking pages. And then there's also the operational benefits. So there's kind of those three buckets where it's CX, and then your margins or your profitability, and then your operations, where Malomo really helps brands. And the operations piece is understanding where your packages are at scale and where the problem orders lie. So if you have, this carrier across the US or across whatever
FedEx
geography
is
you want to
having
look at.
problems or something.
Yes. So you can say, like, you can go to your, carrier SLA and say, okay, well, you have, had delayed packages for the last 7 weeks. Like, I want, refunds or whatever else. So there's that operations standpoint as well, where you can see at scale and then trigger notifications to say to a customer, we're so sorry, we see your package is delayed. Here's a $10 off
Yeah.
coupon for
Yeah,
your
I was gonna
next
say
order.
10% off, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you're getting ahead of those issues before a customer has to inbound to a team and say, "Where's my order?" Like,
Yeah, I'm
I'm
I'm I'm
so
already mad.
frustrated.
Where's my order?
Exactly. So it's like that proactive piece that really helps brands from, turning that experience into maybe an anxiety or frustrating tracking experience into a really pleasurable, and just like informed delivery experience. So yeah, there's a couple of different things, which is why it's so fun for me as a marketer to sit in the seat, because there's a lot that you can dive into there.
Gotcha. Yeah, when you're from marketing to directly to those businesses. So let's dive into that aspect of it from the business to business standpoint. So that's obviously your product. Malomo's product that's delivered directly to the consumer and helps with the consumer retention and profitability. But then how, as the head of marketing, how are you attracting new businesses? How are you finding new businesses to, rave about your product to?
Yes. So this is the best part of my job, is I get to explore those things. So we are kind of best lead gen drivers. SEO has been our strongest channel that we invest a lot in there, and that has looked different over time. And as everyone is feeling right now, AI is definitely playing a role in that. So happy to go into kind of what I'm focusing on there. But just to give a high level overview, SEO is definitely first and foremost, has been our strongest driver. And then we also turn to email marketing, of course. So just how do we constantly think about driving people further down the funnel and educating them? Like I said, the product is a little bit more particular. So we sometimes get informed buyers, we sometimes get uninformed buyers, and so it's our job to kind of parse out who we're talking to. And email marketing definitely helps us do that. Of educating on what you can even do. There's sometimes compliance and confusion and all those things that come along with,
Are you
just
doing cold
e-commerce.
email marketing, or are these all opt-in emails?
Yep, these are all opt-in emails. So we
Gotcha.
don't do outbound currently. So all of our all of our go-to-market efforts are channel and inbound. So we've done outbound in the past, and that is definitely given a good chunk of our customer base
When you
that
say
is still
outbound, you
part of
mean
it.
actual like advertising,
When
like
I say
paid ad?
outbound, I mean like cold outreach
Okay,
to
gotcha.
people. Yes. So yeah, for email marketing specifically, like outbound is I email said person, see if they're interested. But what I'm doing specifically is looking at our customer base, and there's other ways that we look at for growing that. But we haven't leaned on outbound email marketing in a while. Um, and so yeah, email
Because
marketing.
I'm
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
at your site here. You have I mean, it shows well over 15,000 visitors per month, which is remarkably good for a B2B business. So you're saying SEO efforts is what's getting you these 15,000 visitors?
Yes, a large chunk of them. There's also some event marketing and webinars that we do. So that's really how we look at filling the funnel a bit more than that outbound email approach. And so that's further up the funnel for us of just brand awareness and how do we, do webinars with partners and really think about interesting ways to bring in some of our customers because everyone wants to hear what their peers are doing. So that is how we've generated a lot of awareness in the past, and then dabbled in some sponsorship, a little bit of, newsletters, podcasts, events, those types of things. But we have not done as much of that as we have in the past. So really, like, we look at what we can do as a team and with the resources and the budget and all of those fun things we have to consider, and lean very heavily into SEO because that historically has brought in generally 50 to 75% of our inbound leads. So yeah, that's where our website traffic is coming from. Um, and then email marketing, webinars, a little bit of social media, but not a huge factor for us. So yeah.
Are you incorporating AI at all once that lead comes in? AI SDRs, AI emails, that type of stuff. Have you started experimenting, incorporating, and
Yeah, we have not experimented with AI agents and outbound at all. But we have experimented, and a lot of what I'm doing is using AI on the back end of things. And so we have automations in place through HubSpot, and that's kind of what automates some of the outreach there. But it is very top of mind of like I'm keeping my, what is the saying? Ears on the ground, feet on the ground, something. Um
whatever?
yeah,
I know
whatever
what
it
you
is.
meant.
Finger pulse on something. I'm
Finger
tapping
on the
in.
pulse. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. To kind of see the new technologies that people are rolling out. And I've been playing around with a few. AirOps is one that I'm experimenting with right now. They seem to be a little bit more prescriptive or proactive in their, you know, AI capabilities rather than retroactively saying, this is how you're ranking in different LLMs. It's more like this is how you could be bettering your rankings. So I'm still very much playing around in there, attending their webinars, doing all the things of educating myself on their platform. But yeah, it's definitely, I mean, how could it not be, right? Like, how could it not be something that is super top of mind? So right now I use a lot of uh I definitely use ChatGPT the most, I would say.
When you say
to
back
help.
end, you mean like analyzing data, reports, that type of like kind of helping you make that research and decision making process?
Yes, and copywriting as well of, you know, this is the email that we are sending out. This is the campaign that we're running. Give me 6 options for the emails. Like give me a drip campaign or, we're advertising this webinar. What's a new spin that we have done in the past that worked well for us? Any of that where it's me giving it a
Yeah,
prompt, doing
you're
whatever.
prompting it out. Yeah.
Yes, exactly, and then I'll put it into HubSpot or social or whatever. So we haven't automated outreach with AI, but when I say backend, it's like my day-to-day is more efficient with using
Yeah,
AI.
yeah,
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, at the end of the day, I end up downloading this video, sending it to AI, and give me the title, give me the description, and post it everywhere.
exactly.
Give me a bunch of 30 different clips of it. It's remarkable. I mean, one, I'd have to know how to edit a video, and two, it'd probably take me all day to accomplish what I do, and maybe my VA does at this point, in 30 to 45 minutes after the show's over. So yeah, it's really cool. And some of the stuff coming down the pipeline with the AI SDRs, that can call and text and have a real-time conversation, know everything about your business, operate 24/7, and then it's where it's regenerative, so it's constantly learning. So literally every message and every positive or negative reply it's receiving, it's learning and constantly getting better, adjusting the messaging to getting more positive replies. And yeah, it's pretty cool
Fascinating. Yeah.
what's all coming down the pipeline.
Yeah. I think that's something that I am continuously, like, trying to assess how we can do things like that. But still, like, me personally, I'm still a little weary of, okay, is that, like, how much training does it have to go through to really be comparable to, like, a human? So I definitely have a little bit, maybe like 5% where I'm like, I wanna see what comes out.
Can I be completely honest with you
Please
right now?
do. Yeah.
And
This
AI
is what it makes it
SDRs,
fun.
yeah, and AI SDR is what booked you into the show.
Okay, I actually had a no, I'm not surprised by that at all because I've done other podcasts where I know it's automated and AI. But so like that to me, that's an easier ask, I feel
Yeah,
like,
yeah, no,
than
it wasn't. It's not closing a deal. It's not selling something
yeah,
for me
like
or
that's where I
anything.
wanna
It's
see. It's like the whole journey, I guess, of AI SDRs. So I'm not surprised, and I love that you will share that information because I think it is helpful for things
Yeah,
like
but
this.
there's also at the same time either myself or VA, whether it's instantly or wherever we're setting all this up through, and it's an AI agent that's constantly replying and everything. But at the same time, it does take a degree of like, once a day I'm checking in and hey, it's not saying something stupid or giving out wrong information or
Yeah,
there's
just,
some
like,
checks.
lying like it sometimes does, so,
Yeah, there
yes.
is some checks and balances to it. But yeah, at the same time, I mean, to send out 1,000 to 2,000 emails a day and have 100 to 150 conversations going at all times, booking guests on my show and that type of stuff. Yeah,
It alleviates so much, yeah.
I'd have to have 5 people doing that, and it makes it way easier to kind of meet cool people like you and do these interviews and, get a good conversation going.
Yeah, I don't wanna steer our conversation too far, but I definitely wanna hear more about it, and your experience, so we'll have to
Okay,
chat.
cool. And then, yeah, for sure, we can chat offline about that. And then my next question is so I mean, obviously you're incorporating AI. There's a bunch of possibilities, but where do you and at this it can have nothing to do with AI and data, but where do you see the difficulties, Q4 and going into 2026 with your job with the B2B marketing space or with what you're looking to accomplish?
Yeah, so I strongly believe that the market goes in pendulums, and so I'll use, like, outbound as an example of and I think AI is kind of following this trend as well. So especially in e-commerce specifically. Of course, we had COVID, which shook up the whole industry, right? So I'll kind of use that as my origin point for this example, where you had COVID and e-commerce flourished because it had to. And so then you had a huge amount of budgets, VCs going into e-commerce, and outbound at the beginning of that for software really, really worked because everyone was new in e-commerce, or not everyone, but like I'm generalizing here. A lot of people were new in e-commerce. And so getting these, perceived, I'll say perceived because you actually don't even know if people are like of a higher understanding of what they're selling. But you have these perceived authorities reaching out to you saying like, okay, here's the results and here's what you're going to see, hopefully risk free. And so like you get a huge blossom of outbound working. And then it swung into everyone got smart with like, I know that someone is reaching out to me. This is like not a personalized message. It's not going to work for me. And then outbound just stopped working. Again, a generalization. I think my predictions with AI and my job will be this where like everyone right now, AI is flourishing and it's really working because it's new, it's fast, it's efficient, it's all of these things. And I'm curious if it's going to be a hockey stick growth or if it's going to swing in the opposite way where everyone's like, now I'm sick and tired from hearing from your AI agent. I'm not going to do anything except in-person events. That's where I'm hearing. And like you discussed before we hopped on, human relationships, human connection, a lot of people look at their peers and referrals and will trust that. Like that is kind of where the buck stops, I think. And I truly believe that'll continue to be like, if you can get a human experience, like someone with an experience with your software or with your product or whatever, to put their stamp of approval, that will always win out against anything that we're doing on the strategic
What,
side.
I don't think from a B2B side you're ever going to be able to take the human out of it. At some point, there's got to be. I think where AI comes in is being able to cast that net, that top of funnel, shrink it down into interested, intent-based individuals that a human being can have a conversation with. Because on the B2B side, you're not selling a tube of toothpaste or a pair of shoes where somebody's going to make a quick decision and never think twice about it, right? You're signing six-figure yearly contracts, sometimes more, seven figures. I mean, who knows? In some of these, you're selling a $250,000 piece of equipment, something along those lines. Somebody's not going to buy it the first, second, or heck, probably even the fifth time they visited your website. Somebody's going to have to call, build trust and credibility, give them the warm and fuzzies before they're ready to, further engage and earn your business. And yeah, I agree. And that's where it's finding that happy medium where like I can make AI seem as human as possible for that initial outreach and then move them into a relationship building process with a human being and an SDR. But then at the same time, that human being can have the assistance of AI. Because
Yeah.
another AI product I demoed was sales call analyzers. So you have somebody that fills out a lead form. Before that sales guy gets on the form, you put the prospect's information. They give you a full outline of the call, like a growth plan. So it's not just, hey, what are you up to? What problems can I solve? How can I, how would this make you feel, like some BS kind of sales pitch? Gives you a full sales pitch. The AI agent lives live on the Zoom call. So it has a private chat with the sales guy giving direction and information like, hey, this was a red trigger phrase, like dig deeper there, ask questions, get back on track here. You're freaking monologuing, like stop talking, ask some questions, right? And then after that call is over, it will spit out a detailed email based off that call with the next steps and everything it needs. So it's like, hey, Jason, send this email out to book the next call. Oh, and send this text message out, this personalized text message to help solidify the relationship. And then it will set an automatic reminder for me as the sales guy to follow up with to 48 hours. But, I don't want to say it dummy proofs the situation because you still have to have somebody personable and that can, has the gift of gab, so to speak. But it's going to alleviate a lot of just like forgotten processes, or, oh, I forgot to ask that question, or I should have said this, or what do I say now? And it's like I said, pretty remarkable what's coming down. But back to your point, there has to be a human reaction or human interaction, I should say, on the B2B side for sure. I agree.
Yeah. And that's what I think the context of that helps where it's like you have to know and kind of balance where you are investing, right? And so for me, that's going to be one of my main focuses of, okay, where are the processes lying that we can speed up, be more efficient, have, the first interaction be automated. And then where can we take it over and say, okay, now that we know XYZ person is intrigued and interested, or whatever, these 200 people, then we can further have those interactions. So I definitely think that is going to be, it is right now, and it will continue to be one of my main focuses and hurdles of knowing, which of these new softwares, the AI softwares, are going to be worth it to invest in, and which ones are going to, quote unquote, like, have the best understandings for us and what we're trying to do. I think there's still so much opportunity that we don't even know. Like, in a year's time, we'll be like, oh my God, why weren't we all doing that? I even just saw that ChatGPT like silently stopped or quietly stopped quoting Reddit, and their stock went down. So like things like that, where, you know, everyone's just looking at what the software updates for these companies, what they're doing, and going from there. It's still a little bit of a guessing game. There's so much, obviously, that is happening, but I know that will be one of my biggest hurdles. And then I think as a team, so outside of marketing, is looking at, okay, where do we invest our product, and how does that evolve with the times and what the market is seeing? So, how are we bringing data and AI into our product, and looking at the best ways to continuously serve our customers in the ways that they need for our software? So yeah, it's gonna be a fun time. I think also looking at how drafting SEO, we know, like I discussed, we know SEO is one of our largest components. So is it SEO and LLMs will now be split? Is it investing in SEO but tweaking pages to be more readable for LLMs? Is it favoring community interaction and maybe posting on Reddit, LinkedIn, Substack? Are those the better investments than traditional
blog
SEO
posts
pages?
and things like that to drive traction?
Exactly. Yes, those will be the hurdles that I will be trying to figure out with all of my other marketer friends in the space of where do you put your investments, and are those the bets that are going to pay off in 2026 and beyond?
Let me ask you a quick question. I forgot to ask it earlier. The 15,000 plus website visitors, do you guys do anything to retarget them?
Yeah, so I don't want to say yet because we're changing some things. And so in negotiations, all of that fun stuff with phases right now. So I don't want to drop any software that we're using, but yes. So retargeting and exploring some renovations or some updates to ads along with that. And retargeting through email marketing, and a little bit of the event strategy. So webinars, dinners, in-person events as well. We've been chatting with a lot of our partners too. So other software companies in the space. And it definitely seems like I'm excited about this one potential software that we're maybe going to onboard to amp up what we are doing there. So a little bit ambiguous, but
Yeah, it's fine. And
I'll
like I
leave
said, I
that
mean,
to your
yeah. I
audience
mean,
to interpret
if
it.
it, it's perfectly fine. Don't even worry about it. But yeah, because, with 15,000 plus website visitors on a monthly basis from SEO efforts, that's a lot of, data hanging on that page. I can't imagine. I mean, heck, even if you're getting a 3% conversion rate and, getting, a couple hundred people to fill out a lead form and, come into the business, that'd be phenomenal. But that's still a lot of data that's, kind of floating away from the page, so to speak.
Yeah, and I am very much of the opinion that absorbing other opinions, recommendations to further do that. Like, I by no means think that we are doing everything we possibly can in the best way possible. And so that's where conversations like this and me listening to other podcasts and reading LinkedIn posts and Slack communities, all of those things tie into like, oh, we should be doing more of that, like, so I appreciate
Yeah,
those
you don't know
questions.
you don't know what you don't know, right?
Exactly.
Until you know
Yep.
it.
Until you know it, or you see the data where you're like, "Oh god, I should be doing
Yeah.
this
I should
immediately."
I should have known that.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, for sure. So yes.
Perfect. Well, really appreciate your time and your insight, learning about Malomo specifically, and then, the B2B marketing and what you're currently doing, what kind of the obstacles, and obviously how you're embracing AI. To wrap things up here, I always like to ask the guest, and it doesn't have to be specifically towards business, but if there is one specifically towards business, but what's your favorite book? What's a book that's, inspires you daily, or, if you had to recommend one book, what would it be?
Yes. So I read They Ask You Answer. I always have to think about that. By Marcus Sheridan. And I very much always refer back to, I guess, the ethos of the book, where it's about the customer's questions always being the like guiding light. And so I think with taking your content or anything that you're putting out there, even if it's like not even just brand awareness content, but even if it's your lead gen, trying to take a inquisitive and informative approach first. I think that goes along with our technology because, like I mentioned, a lot of my responsibilities as a marketer is to explain where our software sits and that you can even do this with the software, because a lot of operators don't even know that this is a potential channel for them. So I've read that a few years back and it's always stuck with me. And the, I guess, theme of teaching someone rather than trying to sell them on something, and just being that educational resource and that authority in that center. It's why we have led with SEO, because most of our conversions are organic. And so I think it fits with the product. It also fits with me as a marketer. I think that if you can find a balance of like what your own personal voice and your brand's voice aligns with, I think it comes more naturally to write for those things. Um, so yeah, I've always kind of liked that and have led with being honest and transparent, and that funnels down to like competitor analyses and pricing and product features, all of those things. So I really liked that book. It's
No,
stood the
it's
test
great.
of
Yeah,
time.
you got to ask questions. So many of people in sales and marketing, it's like they just want to, throw something at you like, "Hey, here it is, and here's what it does, and here's why it's so great, blah blah blah," and nobody even bothered to ask, like, "Are you even interested in this product? Could you
Yeah.
benefit from it? Like, if you bought it, would you be happy? Would you leave me a good review? Like, does it make sense? Is it especially in the B2B space, right? Like, I mean,
Hmm.
if you come out swinging, so to speak, in the B2B space, and you go for the hard sale on the first, second, or heck, sometimes even the third or fourth call, it's never going to happen. It is a grueling, oftentimes multi-month, I mean, we have some clients where it's like, gosh, they're going after six-figure contracts where it's a 6 to 12 month deal because they're looking for somebody that's within 6 months of canceling their previous contract that is just starting the exploration process. So our goal is to try to get them in front, like early in that 6 month process. And yeah, it's fun times, fun times. But I agree,
Yeah.
you got to ask questions. You got to, see if your product can actually provide value to the client before before you even try to sell it to them or present it to them.
Yeah. And I think that also helps you find your ideal people. And even like look at LLMs, right? They favor FAQs and they love those questions because that's what people are putting in those those space bars is questions. So like if you can answer those, or even what you're saying about the sales software where it's like, what questions should you be asking? That is, I think, the currency that if marketers can deal in, then it
Yeah, they're
they
not
get
they're not
them.
typing in client retention software. They're typing in top 10 client retention softwares, or what is the best client retention software, or something along those lines where, yeah, everything going in those Google and Bing bars, I agree, it's questions. And that's why chat's taking over or AI is taking over, because they can answer those questions. And that's why even like YouTube became the second most, search engine, or I don't know, maybe it's third now with AI coming in, but because it gives you an answer. How do I do this? How do I fix my leaky pipe? How do I unclog my toilet? Whatever it is. And then it's
Yeah.
boom, here's the solution to the problem you just looked for.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a fun time.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate this has been a fun time for sure. So I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. I know there was a ton of value provided to the audience. So we'll sign off here. We appreciate everybody's time and listening in. Hopefully everybody found some value. Make sure to like, subscribe us here on YouTube, all over social media. Make sure to check out Malomo, especially if you are in the e-com space or doing any type of, selling any type of products online. Sounds like there could be a huge benefit there and a huge opportunity. So make sure to reach out to Mariah or Malomo, and appreciate everybody's time. Maria, thank you again for, I'm sorry, Mariah, thank you again for joining us. And we'll have a great day, everybody. We'll talk to everyone soon.
Thanks, Jason. Appreciate it.
Have a great day.